Hamilton's terrible start to the Hungarian Grand Prix ruined a great qualifying session for the 7-time world champion, finishing P4 after beating Verstappen on Saturday in a lap which saw the Silver Arrow beating the Red Bull for only half the length of a tire. But it seems like Lewis is not happy with the team, sending some harsh words towards them. Not only that, but he even questioned McLaren's method of getting so fast all of a sudden. These types of situations do not bode well for the experienced Briton, who seems to always have something to complain about whenever things don't go his way. Securing the pole position on Saturday in Hungary, Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes experienced a drastic change in fortune come race day. Hamilton, after outperforming Red Bull's Max Verstappen in a tight qualifying race by just 0.003 seconds, entered the race day at the Hungaroring with hopes of achieving an unprecedented 9th Hungarian GP victory, something that hasn't been achieved by anyone in the history of Formula 1. Unfortunately, the record for winning 9 times at a single F1 venue remains unbroken, as Hamilton's performance during the race in Hungary didn't unfold as anticipated. While Mercedes overall had a satisfactory performance in Hungary, managing to score 17 points more than Aston Martin, for Lewis Hamilton the race was far from smooth. Any Grand Prix in which one finishes off the podium after securing the pole position can only be viewed as a setback. The race slipped from Hamilton's grip during the second phase of his start. He left enough room for Verstappen to insert himself inside the Mercedes before Hamilton could fully close the gap. Caught off guard by his longtime rival at turn 1, Hamilton subsequently let even the McLarens outpace him in quick succession. His remorseful radio message to the team saying, "I'm sorry guys," implied he realized his own actions led to what could have been a great race. Hamilton confessed he couldn't match the McLarens in the first stint, describing a poor car balance that oscillated between understeer and sudden oversteer mid-corner. Toto Wolff, team principal of Mercedes, thought the team was overly cautious in handling the first set of tires. As the race proceeded, the track became more rubbered in and fuel was used up. Hamilton started to find his rhythm, but he only managed to overtake one McLaren and got passed in the pit stop by Perez. Wolff believed the Mercedes had the speed to secure second place in this race if it weren't for the compromises brought about by Hamilton's dreadful first lap. It's debatable, but one thing is clear: Hamilton certainly complicated things more than necessary. And as the gap to Piastri grew to 9 seconds, Hamilton came over the Mercedes team radio to express his displeasure. "How have they, McLaren, got 9 seconds all of a sudden? That's a crazy amount," said Hamilton. By lap 29, the deficit to Piastri ahead had hit the 10-second mark, and Hamilton wanted to know where he was losing such an alarming chunk of time to the McLarens. "Where am I losing all the time? It's just the car is slow," Hamilton asked. His engineer Peter Bonington replied, "A lot of it is straight line, then in turns 11 and 14. At that point, Hamilton even asked whether Mercedes are turning the engines down. "Negative, we are doing things to improve temperature situation," came the reply. However, Hamilton's race did conclude on a somewhat positive note as he managed to overtake Piastri, reclaiming P4. This late surge of speed from the W14 also brought him back within striking distance of Perez. Unfortunately, the 7-time champion ran out of laps to attempt overtaking Perez, thus P4 was the final position he had to accept. Toto Wolff said after the race that Verstappen made everyone look like F2 cars. "We are going to fight back and win races and championships, but today you've seen the pace that Max had, and we saw it in the long runs already on Friday," Wolff told Sky Sports F1 after the race. "That's where they are. It's like a field of Formula 2 cars against a Formula 1. They've done the best job. As long as you're within the regulations, they've done the best job." Hamilton nevertheless admitted that they are far from the quickest car on the grid, but he is proud of what the team did on Sunday. "It's obvious we're not the quickest, we don't have the quickest car," Hamilton said. "I'm really proud of myself and the job we did yesterday to get pole position and to outperform the world champion and the other 2 cars, the McLarens, that were quicker than us. And today it's just reality, and the reality is we're not fast enough." They already told me in strategy meeting this morning that I'd be at least 5/10 slower than the Red Bulls. The fight isn't with Max, but we were hoping we could fight with the McLarens. But the McLaren was second fastest, too quick for us. When asked about Verstappen's race-winning margin in the RB19, Hamilton simply said, "Car is phenomenal." It's very strange from Hamilton to complain that much. Lewis did great yesterday to get pole, but it wasn't like he outdrove Red Bull by a second. Today, Lewis dropped the ball with the start, into turn 1 and turn 2 and after his first pit stop. Mercedes clearly had the speed to finish second. The fact that he finished 4th is down to Lewis only. Russell finished 6th, starting 18th in the same Mercedes. The last 15 to 20 laps, Mercedes were the fastest on track, except maybe for Verstappen. Mercedes dropped the ball in 2022 and again in 2023, certainly considering they have the best facilities, tools and equipment of the entire paddock. Mercedes and Ferrari are more to blame for Red Bull doing all the winning than Red Bull is. Looking at the advantage the Red Bull has, it is less than past dominations. Max just maximizes the car advantage and delivers superb performance race after race. Publicly, Toto is saying he doesn't want Red Bull advantage being cut by the FIA, but behind the scenes he's massively pushing for it. Same as last year with their theatrical performance in Baku about porpoising. What's interesting is that the British press still didn't dig into the fact that Mercedes knew ahead of the Canadian race in 2022 the exact rule change that was coming and had upgrades ready. Mercedes was more dominant for longer. They just failed to maximize their advantage as much as Max is doing now in 2023. And we have to keep in mind that Mercedes would have won 21 races in a row back in 2015-2016 if not for their completely avoidable collision in Spain in 2016. These Toto and Lewis words are coming out of them with a great sense of entitlement, which I guess you can expect from someone who won 6 drivers and 7 constructors titles in a row. However, it doesn't paint a good picture of them in front of the F1 world. When it comes to Hamilton, he is in a tough spot. Despite all of his accomplishments, it is impossible to overlook the toll the past 2 years have taken on Hamilton. From the distress of Abu Dhabi 2021, the introduction of a dynamic, charming and incredibly fast new teammate in George Russell, to encountering 2 of the most challenging cars of his career at the most inopportune time. Witnessing his world transform so rapidly and significantly, it is remarkable that at 38, with 7 world championships under his belt, he remains eager to chase more. He remains the same formidable driver, but his trophy case has seen little growth, and the pain of his first winless season in 2022 was intensified as he watched Russell score his team's only victory in Brazil. The past 18 months of race weekends have followed a familiar pattern for Hamilton, expressing dissatisfaction with the car. Given an honest glimpse of his feelings on Friday afternoons, he called this weekend's car at its worst, only to readjust his hopes for the coming Saturday and Sunday. This time, however, the following events surpassed those hopes, with Hamilton securing his first pole position since December 2021, a moment that felt like an eternity in F1 years, edging past Verstappen. Race day was a stark reality check for Mercedes once more, and yet in this bleak landscape, his 104th pole shone as a bright light in an otherwise dark tunnel. Perhaps a vital reminder of why he continues to wake up each morning to race F1 cars. If only the wave of emotion that washed over Hamilton as he raised his fist in triumph in Parc Fermé could be captured and preserved. It's undoubtedly a sensation he will hold on to, clinging to the enduring hope that his luck will soon take a turn for the better. What do you think? Is this a momentary blimp for Hamilton and Mercedes, considering Russell ended on P6 after starting P18, making them basically have opposite qualifying and race days? Or there's a bigger problem in Brackley? Let us know in the comments below, and we will see you in the next one.